Let's talk about being selfish. Because if you're a woman, chances are you were raised to believe that being selfless makes you a good person, that putting others first is noble, that giving, serving, fixing, caring. That's your role. But the truth that no one tells us is if you keep pouring from an empty cup, you eventually start resenting the very people you're trying to help. And then your light starts to dim, your joy starts to fade, and your soul starts to ask, what about me? Society tells us being selfish is wrong, especially for women. But there's a sacred side to selfishness, a side that honors your soul, your energy, and your evolution. So, today I want to talk about 7 selfish things that every woman should do in order to grow. They may sound selfish to the world, but in reality, they are sacred acts of self honor. Number 1, let go of the relationships that drain your spirit. Let's start with one of the hardest truths. Not everyone who started your journey with you is meant to walk with you till the end. Some relationships, friendships, lovers, even family dynamics are meant to expire. Sometimes you outgrow people. Sometimes the conversations, the connections, they no longer nourish your soul. And sometimes you realize that you are holding on to a version of someone that only exists in your hopes. When you start evolving, your frequency changes. And not everyone is meant to come along with you at that frequency range. See people for who they are, not what you want them to be. I know it's hard, and I know your heart might still want them or love them. It's not cruelty to let go. It's honesty. It's being authentic. You're not abandoning anyone. You're honoring your own evolution. When I began walking my own feminine path, I had to release a few friendships that were built around the versions of me that no longer existed. The fixer, the listener, the always available one. And yes, it was painful, but that space that I created became a fertile ground for deeper, more aligned connections. And letting go doesn't mean you stop loving them. It only means that you love yourself enough to stop shrinking. And it also means that you respect them so that they can also find their own growth. Number 2, prioritize your physical, mental, and emotional health. You are the home your soul lives in. Yet, so many of us treat our bodies like afterthoughts. We push through exhaustion. We dismiss emotions as weakness. We silence our intuition because logic seems safer. Have you noticed how we have been taught to celebrate burnout, to wear exhaustion like a badge of honor? But the real feminine power comes from presence, not from overexhaustion or overextension. When you start prioritizing your health, physical, emotional, mental, energetic, you start sending a signal to the universe that says, I'm ready to carry more light. So work on yourself. Choose movement that nourishes you, not punishes you. Eat food that makes you feel alive. Know that rest is not laziness. That's how you restore yourself. Practice creating healthy boundaries to protect your peace. When you prioritize yourself, you vibrate at a frequency that nourishes not just you, but everyone around you without even trying. And remember, the feminine thrives in a body that feels safe, grounded, healthy, and alive. Number 3, learn the art of saying no without guilt. This one used to be my biggest struggle. I used to find it really hard to say no, especially when someone needed my help or like an urgent emotional support. There was a time, or I should say a phase of my life, when I would adjust my entire schedule to fit their urgent calls, even when I was running on empty. Until I realized that in trying to be everyone's savior, I was abandoning myself. Worse, I wasn't even helping them either. I was keeping them dependent, stuck in the same pattern I was trying to rescue them from. And then I understood something deeper. I was actually trying to save an old version of me through them. And when I realized that, I stopped doing that. And some people thought I had become distant, meaning less caring. But in reality, I had stopped betraying myself to make others feel comfortable. So say no. Say it clearly without guilt, without over explaining, because every no to them is a yes to your peace. Number 4, stop explaining your healing to those who don't want to understand. There comes a point in every woman's life when she realizes not everyone deserves a front row access to her transformation. You don't have to explain why you meditate, journal, or cry on your yoga mat at 4 a.m. Sometimes it'll feel like this path is making you different, and people will notice. And some people might make you question yourself or try to make you feel bad for changing. But that's okay. You're not meant to be understood by everyone, especially by those who aren't doing any kind of work on themselves. I'm not saying this to judge or shame anyone. Everyone has their own pace. Everyone has their own journey. I understand that. But here's the thing. If someone constantly questions your path without trying to truly understand it, that's your cue to keep your boundaries high up. The only person who truly needs to understand you is you. So instead of seeking validations from those who refuse to grow, stay true to your path and trust. The more you honor your journey, the more you'll attract people who will resonate with it. People who see you not just for who you were or you are right now, but for who you are becoming. Number 5, remember, you're the main character of your life. This one is spiritual. You came into this human form for your own evolution. There's a bigger purpose for your existence. You're here to experience life through your unique lens, to learn the lessons that you've chosen to learn in this life, to fall, to rise, and to remember who you truly are. Other people like your family, your friends, your partner, they are all supporting characters in your movie. They have their own storylines and their own lessons. When you finally stop centering your life around others, you realize that you were never meant to play a background role in your own story. You are the leading woman, and your growth, your peace, your purpose, those are the plot lines that matters the most. Number 6, stop playing small just to be loved. This one is the sneakiest fear that hides in every woman's heart. The fear of outgrowing the tribe. The fear that if you shine too bright, they will say you've changed. If you own your power, they'll call you arrogant. That if you stop conforming, you will end up alone. So you dim yourself. You water down your magic. You play small just to keep the peace. But here's the truth that most of us don't talk about. Many women fear their own power more than failure. Because deep down, stepping into your full expression means letting go of who you once were. And that can feel terrifying. But this is what I remind myself when I feel this fear and I feel like hiding. The comfort zone that you're trying to protect is not going to bring you peace. It'll only push you further into suppression. Yes, your growth might trigger others. Yes, it might make you question yourself at times, but that's okay. You're not here to stay convenient, you're here to stay true. The world doesn't need smaller women. It needs awake women. Women who stop apologizing for their light, their confidence, their dreams. Because the moment you stop shrinking, everything you've been calling start to move towards you. Every time you choose expansion over approval, the divine feminine in you rise even stronger. Number 7, break the rules that don't honor the feminine. Here's one of the most selfish things you can do, and society will definitely frown upon it. It's about refusing to live by rules, expectations, and timelines that don't honor your unique feminine energy. Maybe it's the rule that you have to hustle 24/7 to be successful. Maybe it's the expectation that women should always put others first, or that your body, your emotions, your intuition should be controlled to fit someone else's idea of normal. When your feminine rises, it wants to feel, to flow, to exist fully. And some of the rules that we have been taught, they cage her. Breaking these rules isn't about being a rebel for the sake of it. It's about saying, I will honor my rhythm, my body, my heart, my intuition, even if it confuses or irritates others. For me, this meant letting go of the old ways of working that felt very performative rather than nourishing. Trusting my intuition even when it didn't fit the norm. And allowing my spiritual and creative practices to take precedence over what society called productive. And the result I got? I felt free. There was clarity, there was joy, and a deep knowing that I'm living my truth, not a version that someone else had decided for me. Breaking these rules is a sacred act. It's not selfish, but to the world it might look selfish. And that's okay. I don't know how many times I've said that's okay in this episode, but it's okay, right? So yes, call it selfish if you want. But this is the kind of selfishness that saves lives, the kind that keeps your soul alive, your energy pure, your spirit free. Because when a woman begins to honor herself, she stops bleeding energy into the places that no longer deserve it. She becomes magnetic, peaceful, powerful. And that's the woman the world actually needs. So maybe it's time for you to ask yourself, what one selfish thing you need to do for yourself this week? If you want to share that with me, please leave your comment in the comment box. And if you resonated with this episode, please like the video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, so we can continue this journey together. And if you're a woman who's on a spiritual healing journey and is looking for some support, I'll mention my services in the description box. You can check that. And I'll see you in the next episode.